Do you want to give a sneaky little snapshot of what you achieved, and then we'll really dig into your life before we started working together?
Oh, I've achieved so much. Well, first of all, I was able to lose over 40 pounds, and that's just incredible to me. I've been able to get down to the smallest I've been in over 20 years of trying to lose weight. Yeah. And it happened so fast.
Today is your lucky day because you are meeting my Slim on Starch client, Mechelle. When Mechelle and I first met at the beginning of the year, she was really struggling with binge eating. Her goals were to, of course, lose weight, but even more so free herself from the habit of binge eating so that she could be fully present with and keep up with her toddler, who is the center of her and her husband's life. She wanted to have more energy, feel confident in her relationship with food, have binge eating be something in the past, and release weight. Well, Mechelle is now 45 pounds down, and she is sharing her story with us today.
The other thing that's changed is just my mindset around food. I used to do the all or nothing mentality, the beat myself up every time I had a binge or anything like that. And ever since joining this program, I've been able to give myself like just so much grace if I eat something that's off plan. Just how I feel great. I notice how I feel even more now with the food that I'm eating. Back then, I remember I was able to eat well, but when I didn't eat well, I would continue on this cycle, and it would take me down to where I was feeling really bad about myself. But now I've achieved feeling so great. I feel wonderful. I feel I have energy. I feel like I have control. Yeah, there's so much.
I just realized something because you said you're at the lowest weight that you've been in 20 years. And I know that you and Justin have been together for a little over 20 years. And so was this where you were when you first met? Has he ever really seen you like this? That just dawned on me.
He is not, well, when we first got together, I was probably about 5 pounds heavier than I am now. And
That's
so
crazy. Justin hasn't even seen you like this. This is
no,
insane.
yeah.
Wow, amazing. So let's look at life, before the program. And I know that you're willing to share with your struggles about binge eating and an all or nothing mindset, the obsession with dieting and food and exercise. So can you give us a look into that chapter of your life and what that looked like before we started working together?
So before the programs, the struggles that I dealt with were, I had started other programs and everything became obsessed. Do you want me to talk about the other programs
Sure.
that I had done too? So I did calorie counting and measuring my food. I did counting points. A lot of it was fitness and exercise. I always thought that I could outwork my diet. And there was a lot of binge eating. And I think that all of those options led to me binge eating. I would struggle so hard trying to lose weight on these other programs that I would not be perfect. I had the all or nothing mentality. And those times that I wasn't perfect, I would go into a downward spiral and I would binge eat if it was a Monday and I was trying to be perfect and I wasn't, I would binge eat till the next Monday, pretty much. And that having that struggle around my food made me obsessed about food so much, trying to be perfect, trying to eat right. The obsession about exercise, always trying to get an exercise every day, whether I felt like it or not. The other struggles I dealt with was just my energy level. My energy level was always down because either I wasn't eating enough or I was eating a bunch of bad things that were making me feel sluggish and tired. And I also struggled with my own body image. I always felt like I had to hide my stomach, or I had to hide my arms, or just whenever I would go get new clothes, I always would walk out of the dressing room just so frustrated that nothing fit the way that I had thought it would.
Mm.
And it was just my body image, my energy, all of those were my struggles.
Mm. Where do you think all of that came from? The binge eating habit, the black or white mindset?
Well, I remember as far back as when I was about 8 or 9, and I remember my, I was bigger than most of the girls in school, and just feeling like I was chubbier. And I remember the reason I put on weight was there was restriction at my house. Like, if you didn't eat all of your dinner, you can't have dessert. And the mentality around that was I would force myself to eat dinner because I really wanted dessert. Or when I really did get a hold of dessert, I would eat a lot of it. And so then it became like there was some shame in that, and there was some hiding, and sometimes I would binge in secret. In fact, I think I've always binged in secret. I don't think many people saw it.
I appreciate your vulnerability in that, because I know you're not alone in that struggle. And rewriting that part of our childhood is very difficult. And we've worked together for a long time. And what I really admire about you, Mechelle, is your commitment and your grit and your perseverance, and not taking a 100% perfect, I have to never ever binge eat ever again type of approach to this. And instead, when those habits from the last chapter would sneak their way into this chapter, we used it as an opportunity to learn and grow and identify the triggers and how you're going to respond to it next time. And I think that's really why you've been successful. But that's a hard thing to do. So let's say the first time there was a slip up in the program, do you want to talk about that and working through it, and not saying, oh, well, screw this, I can't do this program because I had an episode or I had a slip up?
Well, it really helped to have the support from you guys. And I remember when I did have the first binge episode, it was months into the program. So I was in the perfect mentality, and I was doing everything perfect. And I was feeling great. I did not have any temptations or cravings. I think it was just that I never even tried eating anything that was off plan. And when we started bringing in the later foods, that's when I had to face the reality that I go into that mentality. If I didn't do it perfect, I would binge. So the first time that I actually did have a relapse during the program, I told you guys, and it was hard. It was hard to admit it. And when I did, I was expecting to feel like judgment, or, oh, just get back on the program and do it again. And it was not like that at all. There was this full understanding of it happens. It's part of the process. I saw the video of the stages of change. There was just so much grace in that situation that I didn't feel bad anymore. I felt human, and I felt like it was just something that happens, and then you can just move on. You can move forward. You don't have to think about it any further. That happened, move on.
Mm-hmm.
And that was huge to me. That was huge.
It must have been so difficult, because I know that when you were really struggling before we started working together, there were so many things popping up. It wasn't just, the physical side of the binge eating, but also was the emotional side of things. So do you want to talk about what that last chapter of binge eating and the all or nothing mindset looked like in terms of how you were feeling physically and emotionally?
I feel like during those binge moments, I would almost beat down on myself to the point where I didn't think I could do it. And there were times where if I wasn't perfect, I would just think to myself, like, okay, you need to be perfect in order to make any progress. And the times that I would fall off track, I would think that I undid everything, and I would get really upset and sad. And there were times where I would do a workout and almost just cry because I was trying to undo the binge eating, and I would just be so upset with myself. And it almost made me grumpy. Like if I couldn't have my situation controlled, if I couldn't have like my environment controlled, if I couldn't do my exercises, like I became a little bit grumpy about it, just ready to bite someone's head off because I didn't have control over it, basically.
Mm.
And physically, I remember I would, the days that I would have binge episodes, I would just be so worn down and tired. I almost remember just being like sad. I didn't want to do anything. Like I would just binge and watch TV, and I wasn't doing anything good for myself.
And that's not you, that's not Mechelle. At least it's not the Mechelle that I know. And so to be acting the way that feels so misaligned with who you really are in your soul, it's like, oh my gosh, this isn't even me. Who is this person acting like this?
Yeah.
So what was it that, well, I guess we did talk about it, maybe the phone call with a friend that made you say, okay, I'm going to do this. So how did you feel once you had made the decision that you were going to join SOS?
Oh, I felt wonderful. I felt excited. I felt hopeful. I had the support of my husband. I'm the type of person that I'm very selfless. So I always think about other people and take care of other people, and put myself to the side. And this was something that I had to like step up and say, I deserve this and I want this. And it's time for me to think about me. And it was around a time when I had my son's 3, and I had my son and I was focusing on him. I was breastfeeding, co-sleeping, just 100% just giving my all to him. And I remember there was this time when we were getting to the point where he was sleeping better. I was getting more rest. I was starting to be able to focus on me and what I needed to do for my health and what I wanted to do for me, just any kind of activities or hobbies, or the doors were starting to open. And that's when I made the phone call, I was just so excited that I'm going to be focusing on something that's going to be beneficial to me. And the phone call with you actually even confirmed all of that. Like, I deserve this, and thinking of myself, and if I take care of me, I'm able to take care of the rest of the family.
Mm-hmm. And I know that Lincoln is the center of your worlds. He is everything to you guys. And so at first it's kind of like, oh my gosh, am I being selfish by focusing on me? But what about Lincoln? It's all about Lincoln. And then realizing, wait a minute, in order for me to show up as the absolute best mom for him, I have to do this. I deserve to do this, and I'm worth it.
Yes.
And how lucky is he to have not only a mom who is working so hard on herself to be the best mom for him, but have a mom who's supported by his dad. I just love the support that he has for you. And I remember on our first phone call very vividly how you said, my husband is 100% on board about this. And I was really touched by that.
Yeah, he knows that if I'm gonna stand up and say that I need this, he knows I mean it.
I bet. So tell me what changed from before joining the program to during the program. What changes did you notice at first?
The first change that I noticed was how much my mindset was around food in the very beginning, because you guys told me just eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full. And before, I would just eat because it was a certain time of the day. I would eat certain things just because they were part of a recipe or that they had like all of the stuff, but you were just like, eat your starches and your non-starches and do half and half. And doing that and eating whenever I was hungry, not looking at the clock, I realized that really helped me think of food so much. Like I would just, it was almost like you say, just eat mechanically. And I would just grab what I already had prepared, put it on a plate and eat. And I would eat slowly and I would stop and I would realize that, oh my gosh, like I'm not going to finish this whole plate. And that feels good to actually listen to my body and to focus on that. And I hadn't done that before because I was counting calories or counting points or trying to, oh, this is all I got. you know?
Yeah.
So I noticed that immediately.
That sense of relief, like, oh my gosh, finally, I feel like that critic in my mind can take a day off and I can just be a human that eats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It wasn't that I had to make it overcomplicated at all. Like I just would put, okay, this is a starch, this is a non-starch. I'm going to eat these together. They sound good. And when I was really hungry, they tasted great. Like the foods are great.
Yes, I agree with you there. I agree with you there. What advice would you give to somebody who heard you talk about the struggles that you went through and said they say, oh my God, that is literally me?
What advice would I give them? I tell them that for them, they should reach out for help and support, because I think that was the biggest thing, was being able to talk about it and being open about it, because I was doing it in secret. There were times that I knew I was going to go home and I was going to eat and nobody was going to know. And there were times I even mentioned it briefly to my friends, but not to the point of really admitting it to them and admitting it to myself. And I remember you saying that on the first call with me, was that secrets keep you sick. And I wrote that down and I was like, that is so true, because the more that you talk about it. So I feel like the best thing to do is to get some help from somebody and to talk about it, and even talking about openly what you're doing to change that, reaching out and just, yeah, I think that's the biggest advice I can give.
I love that you wrote that down, secrets keep you sick, because that definitely shows that you valued that through the program together, because you were so honest. And that's why you've been so successful. You didn't just reach out for help and then think that, oh, well, I made the phone call, so I'm changed and the program is just going to work for me. You have to put in the work too and be honest and open about what's going on. And that's exactly what you did. Every week when I saw your face, you were 100% honest about what was going on. And that's why we were able to progress so efficiently.
Yeah. And it was so very helpful, because every time I was honest, there was a solution. There was something that I could do. There was a next step, and none of it was overwhelming. It was just like, okay, just do this next, just one little thing, one little difference, and see how you feel. And you were so right. I mean, everything that you have in your program and everything that you tell me, as soon as I put it into action, I was like, how did she know? How did she know? Like, I remember one time I was worrying that I was eating too much. And you said, yeah, but just, are you listening to your hunger and fullness? Then just keep doing that. And you'll probably find that the next day that you're eating less. And the next day, like magic, I was not very hungry and I was only eating, smaller portions. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's so right. It's those type of things that you just don't think about. You're just in this, like, I need to eat this, and I need to eat this much. And it's not like that. It's not like that at all. It's a lot more simple than that.
Mm-hmm. So what are you working toward now, Mechelle?
Right now, I mean, I still have a little bit of weight to lose, not very much. I think I have like 10 pounds maybe. And so I'm just going to be continuing working on that. And then when I get a little bit more free time, starting to work on that too. I'm gonna start incorporating exercise. That's the other thing too, is I lost this weight without doing any exercise. Like I tried probably a little bit of yoga. I think that's it. I think I did yoga like 4, maybe 5 times, and it was just stretching. And yeah, I didn't do any exercise. And I did love working out. I used to do CrossFit, kickboxing, cycling, just all sorts of exercises. And I actually enjoyed doing them. So when I can get more time with my little kid around, I do plan on doing that just for fun though. That's the other thing too, is I'm not going to be doing it because I need to lose weight or I need to, undo all of the eating that I do or anything like that. I don't have to worry about that. I can just do it for fun. The other things I want to work on is just focusing on my health and my energy. That's the biggest thing too, since doing this program, is when I focus on how I feel, how the food makes me feel. I mean, it just shows on the scale. Like later on, I just eat because I know that food's going to serve me well. And I notice immediately if I eat anything that's not, that if I eat anything that's processed, anything that has sugar or oils or anything like that, I notice immediately how I feel. And knowing how good it feels to eat the other way, that is incentive enough. So focusing on my health, focusing on, bringing in some exercise for fun. That's the other thing too. Like, how exciting is that? I'm not going to be forcing myself into exercise. And and just continuing on and see what happens. I'm actually very comfortable with where I am right now, but I know that if I lose more weight, great. If I don't, I'm very comfortable.
Yeah. And I'm going to miss you. I know we'll still have a couple of calls before you leave us, but I'm going to miss seeing you on those calls every week. And you need me. I'll always be here for you.
Yeah, I know. And I know you'll always be there for me. And that's the great thing. And the support that we have on Facebook and just all the materials that you have provided, and the fact that I've gone back and looked at those materials and you've updated some or added in some things. And some of those things that you've added, I remember we were on like a Zoom call with a group of people and someone brought up a really good idea of something they've tried, and you have videos on that. And it's just really nice knowing that I still have all that material to turn back to, because when I remember watching those videos in the very beginning, you just start watching them as they come in. And I remember, oh yeah, that's really interesting. That's nice. And then later on, I would go back. Maybe I had like a relapse or I'm struggling, and I would go back and watch another video, and it would sit with me differently. It would like, all of a sudden the light bulb would come on. Like, I am going through this right now. That's awesome that there's a video that like basically says everything that I've been going through, my mindset, my feelings, just what I can do. I'm really happy that I still have, it's like an arsenal of tools. It is so great that you've provided that.
Yeah. Well, I love having you in our clan here. So thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Emmie. Thank you for everything.
It's my pleasure.
The incredible coaches, mindset coach Kirsten and nutrition coach Danny, worked alongside myself and Mechelle to help her get to where she is today. So if you want to work with us and get similar results, please click the link in the description bar. Thank you so much, Mechelle, for doing this interview. It has been such a joy to work alongside you. If you made it to this point in the video, please comment committed, because Mechelle has been so committed to get those 45 pounds down and to free herself from this habit. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to watch the next one that's going to pop up on the screen, because you'll like that one too. I love you, honeys, and I'll see you in my next one.